Hey everyone, thank you so much for pressing play. So as you can see, I am not recording on my camera. So I'm hoping this video quality isn't horrible. I'm recording on my laptop. I came with my husband on a work trip with him, and so I don't have any of my equipment. I put in my headphones hoping that that helps the audio a little better because I really want to share something that I read a couple weeks ago in Second Kings 5, right? So I am going to be skimming through Second Kings 5, so I definitely recommend that you read all of Second Kings 5, okay? So as I was reading Second Kings 5, I thought of two things. One, I thought of wow, just genuine humility. And two, I thought of most of the time when we are lying, there's a root cause there. Whether it's greed or people pleasing, it just seems like there's a root cause. Let me just go right into it. So in verse 1 in Second Kings 5, it starts off sharing Naaman, explaining who he is. He's the commander of the army of Syria. And it says he was a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper, right? A leper is someone who has a serious skin condition. And so it goes on to say a girl from Israel told Naaman's, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name right, you guys, so I'm sorry if I'm not, but a girl from Israel told Naaman's wife that he could be healed by a prophet in Samaria. The prophet's name was Elisha. So Elisha says, so basically Naaman ends up going to Elisha, and Elisha sends his servant to tell Naaman in verse 10, go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean. And so eventually Naaman does that. After his flesh was restored, he returned to Elisha in verse 15 and says, behold, I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. So accept now a present from your servant. But he said, as the Lord lives, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. And so that was the first thing I realized was like, wow, what humility, right? How many people nowadays would turn down like silver and all these different offerings, right? But Elisha, he didn't do it for that, you know? He genuinely loved the Lord, and so he genuinely wanted Naaman to see that the healing that happened was from the Lord. And so in the commentary, the way that they explained it is exactly what I thought when I read it. It says, for Elisha to accept a gift is to risk the impression that he is personally responsible for what has happened. And so it shows humility, right? It's not necessarily wrong for him to receive a gift. And I read in another commentary how, he's accepted offerings in the past, right? But I think he was really wise here, where he was like, I want him to see the God that I serve, that he is real, that it's not me, but it's him, so God could be glorified. It reminded me of Philippians 2:3-8 that talks about Jesus, which is one of my favorite scriptures, you guys. And it starts off by saying, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourself. Just that first sentence, it reminded me of do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, right? And then it goes on to talk about Christ and how it says, have this mind among yourself, which is yours in Christ, who though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped. And so I recommend you read that too, Philippians 2:3-8. So that was the first half that I got from this text. And then the second half was in verse 20. It says, Gehazi, the servant of Elijah, the man of God, said, see, my master has spared this Naaman, the Syrian, in not accepting from his hand what he brought. As the Lord lives, I will run after him and get something from him. So Gehazi followed Naaman, and when Naaman saw someone running after him, he got down from the chariot to meet him and said, is all well? And he said, all is well. My master, which is the first lie, he says, my master has sent me to say There have just now come to me from the hill country of Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Please give them a talent of silver and 2 changes of clothing. So we know he's lying. And Naaman said, Be pleased to accept 2 talents. And he urged him and tied up 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of clothing and laid them on 2 of his servants, and they carried them before Gehazi. And so I was just like, wow, that was the first lie, and now he's going to lie again. And when he came to the hill, he took them from their hand and put them in the house and sent the men away, and they departed. He went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said to him, Where have you been, Gehazi? And he said, Your servant went nowhere. Lies, lies, lies. This is what Elisha said to him. Did not my heart go when the man turned from his chariot to meet you? Was it a time to accept money and garments, olive orchards and vineyards, sheep and oxen, male servants and female servants? Therefore, the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and to your descendants forever. So he went out from his presence a leper like snow. So I was just like, okay, so what was the root cause here? It's almost like greed, right? Selfish gain was Gehazi's motivation and the reason why he lied. Then it reminded me when the leprosy that Naaman had went to Gehazi, it reminded me that all our sin always has some type of consequence, you guys. And so may we just repent. May we just turn to God because He can help us, right? He can show us what that root is and He can grow us in that area. So yeah, I pray that this study that I did blesses someone. Thank you so much for pressing play. Bye.